Welcome back to the King's Corner, the place for all things Bethesda. I am the KingFanMan with my first real look at the Elder Scrolls 6. And wow, that felt really good to say, the Elder Scrolls 6. You know, there's several reasons I haven't made a video about the Elder Scrolls 6 since it was announced at E3, but disinterest was not one of those reasons. The Elder Scrolls is probably my very favorite series of all time, and this game quite possibly my most anticipated game. I am an Elder Scrolls guy through and through, and trust me, the closer this game gets, the more this channel will be dedicated to the Elder Scrolls 24/7. One of my hesitations in making this video is that the game is 2 games away. This is a Bethesda channel, and I will want to give you guys as much Bethesda news and coverage that I can give, and right now, Fallout 76 is the main focus, with the beta just about to drop, the launch coming in November. Then we have Starfield after Fallout 76, and that's not counting all Bethesda software games like Rage 2, Wolfenstein, Doom Eternal, that I also want to give you guys at least a little coverage on. Another reason I have waited so long is because Bethesda only gave us a 37-second teaser. Now that's not much to go on, but it is enough to get my heart pounding and my mind racing. And the last reason I've waited this long to bring you an Elder Scrolls video is because I wanted time to really study the trailer. Not to make a snap judgment just to try to get a video out before someone else did. I wanted to study it, and I have. And I'm sure you have as well. So let's take just a minute and talk about what we think the Elder Scrolls 6 might have in store for us. Because yes, we all have great expectations. Now there are 4 basic things I want to talk about, and I definitely want your feedback. I'm going to talk about the location, the time period, the story, and what might be new in this Elder Scrolls. So let's jump right in and talk about those 4 things. So let's start with the location. This one has been talked about the most, so I thought we would start right there. Most people that I have heard have either said it is Hammerfell or High Rock. Now, I watched all these people go into great detail to explain why they believe it's either one or the other. And I will tell you, as soon as I saw the trailer during E3, I said those mountains look like High Rock. High Rock being the home of the Bretons and the Orcs. It borders Skyrim. The mountains are very distinctive from anywhere in Tamriel, except for Skyrim, of course. In other words, the mountains look like Skyrim's mountain, and nowhere else in Tamriel does it look quite like that. But before I get in trouble with a whole big group of folks, Hammerfell and High Rock border one another, and I do believe both will be in the Elder Scrolls 6. And I'm not saying that just as a compromise or as a cop-out. I truly believe that both will be in it, and it is important to the story. And we will probably talk about that in a later video. So far, for location, I say it is mainly in High Rock, with some of it being in Hammerfell. And by the way, again, people go into great detail, and I've heard both sides of the story, and both make a great point, and I believe both are correct and both are in it, but High Rock being the main location. Okay, so what time period might the Elder Scrolls 6 be in? This is a little bit of a harder question than you might think. So to answer this, I want to give you a little bit of a history lesson. The Elder Scrolls games, of course, begin with the Elder Scrolls 1 Arena, and it was played in 389 in the Third Era. Only 19 years later came Daggerfall in 408 in the Third Era. Then 19 years later came Morrowind in 427. Then only 6 years later came the Elder Scrolls 4 Oblivion. Now this is where it really jumps off the map. Then 200 years later came Skyrim. Now what was my point with all of those dates? The date that Bethesda chooses for the next game will be based on the story. It could be a few years from the events of what happened in Skyrim, or it could be like Skyrim and be a couple hundred years away. Okay, we're not going to go backwards in time for a couple of reasons. One, Elder Scrolls Online goes backwards in time, way backwards in time, so that's one reason. And number two, none of the other games go backwards in time, so I believe we're going to go forward in time. And I believe it's only going to be about 10 to 20 years, and it's because of the story that I believe Elder Scrolls 6 is going to have. But I need to be very clear. I believe the location is going to be close to Skyrim, being High Rock, that borders Skyrim, or Hammerfell. Hammerfell also borders Skyrim. And I believe it's only going to be 10 to 20 years from the events of Skyrim. But just because it is both the location and the time is close to the events of Skyrim, it does not mean it is a continuation of the story of Skyrim. This is not Skyrim 2. It will not be a continuation of the story of the Dragonborn. The reason I picked the location, the reason I picked the time, I believe the story is being screamed throughout Skyrim, and I believe it is the Thalmor. And I'm going to keep it very simple for this video. I believe I'll make several videos on this subject leading up to this video. And by the way, I could talk for days and days on this subject. But the Thalmor, who were in Skyrim, obviously, they were trying to make sure that the Empire were doing what they were supposed to do against the Stormcloaks. You remember the Thalmor. They were at the very beginning there with General Tullius. You also remember the whole Civil War storyline. I believe they are going to invade Tamriel, starting the Second Great War. Now, you also remember, if you played any of the Dark Brotherhood line, at the very last of the Dark Brotherhood line, you assassinate the Emperor himself. So the Empire is at its very weakest with the Civil War and with the death of the Emperor. The Thalmor is going to take advantage of this and invade Tamriel, starting the Second Great War. This is just the opportunity the Thalmor has been waiting on. And I believe this is going to be the main storyline of the Elder Scrolls 6. Now again, that is a subject I will probably make multiple videos on before the game gets here. And that is a very deep subject. But I want to know what you think the story will be. And I want to know what you think about the Thalmor line and the Great War. What do you think about that? Now, the last area I wanted to mention is, what will Bethesda have new in this game? Dragons were new in Skyrim. Will there be something that is completely new and surprising in the Elder Scrolls 6? Maybe they'll bring the arena back from Oblivion. They had intended to have one in Skyrim, but they scrapped it at the last minute. I would love to see what they could do now with new graphics and new technology. But what else do you guys think that they might surprise us with? It might not be new, but I bet with the Great War they will have massive numbers of troops out on the battlefield that they couldn't have in the Civil War in Skyrim, but they will this time. I know they will have new creatures in Hammerfell and in High Rock. But what else might they surprise us with? You know, with how popular Skyrim was, they know this game, they are going to have to make it amazing and epic. And I believe that they will. At the very least, we have a while to dream and to think about what we might like this game to be. We have a long time to think about our great expectations. And I'm going to say something y'all are getting used to hearing me say. I can't wait to see what Bethesda has in store for us in the Elder Scrolls 6. I want to thank you guys as always for stopping by the King's Corner today. And if you're able and willing, would you consider helping support this channel? Y'all go check out my Patreon page. The link is below in this video and in every one of my videos. And hey, if you do, there is a lot of content on that Patreon page. You can support me with any amount, $1, $5, $10, any amount. And if you do, you get behind the scenes with the KingFanMan. I would appreciate it more than you'll ever know. And if you're not a subscriber to this channel, hit that button. And if you don't, a frost troll might get your toes. I am the KingFanMan. I'll see you next time.